Hello and welcome to the Modern Alchemy podcast. My name is Joe Jennings. I'm with my co-host Christina Nichols. I am an executive coach, mentor, author, future author. That's in quotes, parenthesis.
Manifesting.
Yeah, I'm speaking that into existence, boys and girls. I'm here with my co-host Christina Nichols. How are you today?
I'm good, Joe. Thanks for asking. I'm Christina. I'm an energy healer and mindset coach,
Absolutely.
advisor. And we are just here to have a fun little day. I'm going to kind of hijack this episode this week. I thought it'd be really interesting to interview Joe. So forewarning, that's coming. But before that, I did want to ask you one of our normal questions. Earlier, Joe was singing a little ditty, and it reminded me of a good question, which is, which golden girl would you be and why?
Would I be?
Or I guess...
Yeah, no, I mean, what's interesting is because sorry, continue your question. I interrupted.
We can change it. It was very aggressive.
No, I don't.
Or which one do you embody? Which one do you see yourself in? Like, which golden girl do you align with the most?
Yeah, and first of all, I want to thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to give two answers because I think there's which golden girl do I like the most and which golden girl do I see as my potential golden spirit animal, Ganimal. So who's the mean one? The old lady.
Dorothy?
Is it Dorothy, the mean, scrappy, short one?
Or is Dorothy the daughter? Shit. There's Blanche.
Blanche is the slutty one?
Yeah. They were all in their 40s.
What?
Which is crazy.
Wait.
Those actresses were all in their 40s.
No, they weren't.
I've seen these memes where people have taken their hair and made it into like long today's style hair. And you're like, oh, yep, nope, they are.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They were not old ladies?
Yeah. It was Ma. Didn't she just call her Ma? It was Ma and Dorothy, I think.
Okay. So Dorothy is the strong-willed one. Yeah, she's the mean one.
Okay.
Rose was the space cadet. That was Betty White. Yeah. Lusty Southern Belle, Blanche. No, Sophia was the matriarch. Strong-willed Dorothy was B. Arthur. She was
daughter.
like the tall one.
Yeah, that
was. She was in the Marines.
I believe it.
Yeah, she's a tough bitch. I forgot about.
Okay, so say them one more time.
Who my favorite is?
Read the list.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we've got, of the Golden Girls, for anyone who wants to play along, you've got Strong-willed Dorothy. That's B. Arthur. She's the tall one. You've got Spacey Rose. That was Betty White. Fan favorite. I think she almost lived to 100, too. Lusty Southern Belle, Blanche. And then Sophia was the mean old lady. And I don't know who played those two people. But, so my favorite Golden Girl is actually Sophia, the mean old lady. Because my grandma was a Spitfire little Italian woman. It's something about those mean old ladies that people love, and they're so congruent with themselves, but people just like everyone loved her, and she was not she was very like matter of frickin' fact.
Because she was authentic.
She was so authentic.
And you can't fake authenticity. You can feel it when someone's authentic, and you appreciate it. Even if you don't want to hear it, you're like, well, I know this bitch is going to tell me the truth when everyone else is going to lie to me.
100%. Like, people really appreciate that. And I think that's why people who are just true to themselves, even if they're a little gruff, I think people also are like, man, I wish I could be like that. Just say what I'm thinking and not worry what other people thought. And she wasn't mean, but she was very unafraid to say things. So funny story about her. My grandma, her name was Madeline, so we called her Nana. And they had new carpet put in their great room, or their walk-in room. And it was just a tinge crooked. Normal human being would have never noticed it. So she tells the carpet guys, you got to pull this up and fix it. And they're like, ma'am, are you serious?
Oh my God, I would have noticed it.
She made them give her 50% off on them. She's like, I want half off, or you need to pull it up. So she would do stuff like that all the time. And not to be nefarious, just because she wanted it to be done right.
It's perfect, yeah.
Yeah, but she was funny like that.
Wow.
And she cleaned her furniture a lot.
Did you have plastic on the furniture?
So they had plastic on the furniture. So the old style houses, and I think this is a very Italian thing, the room no one ever goes in.
The fancy room?
That you go in there once a year to take a picture.
No, that's for holidays.
The carpet was
company.
white.
Yeah, no, that's how.
I never went in that room with my shoes on, number one. And number two, I don't think.
It's like with the shoes on.
But it was.
You don't even go in the room. What do you mean with the shoes
on? Very rare. But so yeah, they had the really not. But it was the plastic that was professionally laid over the.
Like a vinyl.
It was.
I know it. I've slept on it.
Really?
I've sat on it. I've had my butt cheeks stuck.
So your grandma had that?
Both sides.
Wow.
Oh yeah, real ethnic. I remember you'd feel this just like
when you got up.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're like, I don't even seen there for a while, your skin's like a little dry. I'd be like, I remember the back of my thighs just hurting.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I didn't ever wear things that short to experience that
little
feeling.
Skirts and dresses.
But I would get hot on that thing, man.
So
just
hot.
sweaty butt.
Oh my god, so weird.
All right, I guess I just answered it differently, but what's your?
Sophia is the one that is your favorite.
That's my fave. Yeah.
But who do you feel like most encompasses?
I'd have to say, Betty White. I don't find myself to be a space cadet, but I appreciated her level of just airy bliss.
Yeah, I love it. I think people think I'm a Betty White all the time, which is fine.
But what are you actually?
I would love to be a Sophia. That's really what I'm striving for. No fucks given. So happy, just like in who you are, that you don't care. What a blessing. How free was Sophia? I mean, maybe not free in the sense, but of actual freedom. But I think as close as we can get with this way we hold ourselves in. But I think I'm fuck. I don't know. I don't want to. I think maybe I'm a Betty White.
Betty White. She's a good character.
She's a great character. I don't know. I think I'm a sneaky Doc B and a little bit of Betty White.
Doc B.
Or what's her name?
B. Arthur. But her name was in the.
Sorry, I think I'm a little Dorothy. And a little Betty, but I don't. That's not like a combo that we can pull from.
Yeah.
So I didn't answer the question well, and it was my own question.
It's a good answer, though. I mean, there's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no rules in Fight Club.
It also shows I don't prepare for my own questions.
Which is what makes the questions so beautiful. They're just off the cusp.
Speaking of questions.
First of all, I want to say I'm honored and I love talking about myself. So I'm really excited about this.
He's like, this is the best episode.
Yeah. I actually have been preparing for this episode for 40 years. So this is the most prepared episode we're ever going to do from my side.
This is really funny. Ooh. Okay, so I just want to know about you. So here we go. Look how happy he is. He's never been happier.
I'm stoked. I mean, just know I'm going to do a good job.
So I wanted to know if you remembered who influenced you when you were growing up.
Wow. Is there a specific category or just anyone that I could think of?
Just in general. And maybe it isn't a person. It could be a time. It could be a group of people. But growing up, what was inspiring you?
Okay. I thought of a funny way to answer this. It wasn't inspirational, but maybe I can get to that too. Inspirationally, I've always been interested in, I guess, kind of like an entrepreneurial style human existence, people that are really successful. But funny enough, when I was a little kid, I had a kind of my journey of what I wanted to be inspirationally. The first rung of that was that I can really remember I wanted to be a house cat. So we had two Siamese cats when I was in grade school, and they would just chill. They would just like lay around and like be in the sun. And I vividly remember being like, that would be awesome. I don't want to do anything. I just want to chill all day. And I still have that feeling I struggle with pretty regularly. And as I got older, then the next phase was The Sopranos were really popular. And then I wanted to be in the Mafia. It's a very interesting inspiration. Then I wanted to be a rock star. I was in a band. And then I wanted to be a lawyer, actually. So one of my friend's dads was a super successful lawyer. And I thought, because I like to argue and I had a problem with authority, that would be a perfect fit for me. And yeah, so I don't know. I went on a lot of different paths in terms of my inspiration. But I think one thing, and this is going to be a little like boo-hooey, was like, so my mom and my dad got divorced when I was a little kid. And so I didn't grow up with a dad until my mom remarried my stepdad when I was like 12. And they dated for a long time, so I knew him, but he wasn't directly as a role model. Like my grandpa was my role model, but it was generationally removed. So it wasn't like a role model that operated in the way I'd say a typical role model or mentor was. But my grandpa was really successful and he was an investor, so that always interested me. But he wasn't a guy who was good at emoting things. So I'd be like, Grandpa, teach me how to invest, and he'd give me a book. And at that time, I was not going to read a book. I was like, I want you to just tell me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was an interesting come up, kind of like discovering myself. But I went through multiple iterations. Like I went to music school, I went to film school. I have a business degree, but I spend a lot of time ADDing inspiration and kind of finding my thing.
Sounds like you were dreaming big, though.
I was always looking for that big thing. Like I always had a deep, deep desire and knowledge that I would be wildly successful. Like I've always wanted to be super rich.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's like you already know, so that's why you want it so bad.
And it was kind of odd because there were some people in my life that were very successful, but they weren't direct influences. One of my uncles is really successful. He was a big influence.
So what type of hobbies did you have then?
I played
this time
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played soccer for a really long time.
I would say up to college.
Video games. Oh, I was deep. I still play video games, but that was my thing. I loved video games, played a ton, got into computer games before they were cool. So it's funny, as growing up, my friends and we all played sports, but we also played PC games, which were still kind of fringe at the time. Now everyone plays PC games, but they were kind of dorky. So it was like this marriage of this nerdiness and jockiness that were kind of fascinating. Hobby-wise, I literally just think it was video games. I'm trying to think if I liked anything else. I had a brief stint where I made, you know how girls buy those strings and make like bracelets? Yeah, I had a stint doing that.
That's fine.
I still have that stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, maybe I'll bring it back, open up an Etsy store. Maybe that's why I'm not rich yet, because I never opened that Etsy store to make bracelets.
It might be. Maybe we'll discover that by the end of this interview.
They need to be like $10,000 each because I don't want to make a lot of them.
I know you did sports in school. Were there any sports you played for fun also, or no? For
fun? Yeah, we played a lot of basketball growing up. For fun. Sports for fun. Oh, BMX bike stuff. That was huge when I was a kid.
It was huge.
Yeah, I had two BMX bikes with the pegs, the gyro. Jumps? I was a pussy, so I never went on jumps. I was like a scared little kid.
Oh.
Yeah, I think because my mom's only child, and I think that firstborn thing where the firstborn gets overprotected, I got that times 10 because I was the only one.
Yeah.
You can relate to that in some degree, I'm sure. So I was like a scared kid. So I had to break through a lot of stuff. I was the kid who, when you went to Great America, which is a roller coaster park for anyone who's not from here, there's a handful of them all over the country. I would pretend I didn't feel good so I didn't have to go on the really scary rides. Like I was a total wimp. Yeah, I was a wimpy kid.
It was scary. I didn't like going on either. I still don't like going on them.
I'll go now to conquer the fear, but I'm not excited about stuff like that. Like I went skydiving only to conquer the fear, but I literally hated every moment of it until I got back to the ground.
I mean, if I have to do it, I'll do it, but I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do I need to do it?
I just did it to conquer the fear, yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a business degree, so I did want to know what degree you have and why you chose the degree. Yeah,
it's funny. I went away to this college at the University of Iowa. I mean, it's like not like I need to say it like this college. It's probably known by some people. And I did so bad. So I was a really good student all through my life, straight A's, maybe a couple of B pluses in like honors classes. Go to college, zero level of responsibility, and I started becoming a pothead. So I never went to class. I did so bad. My parents pull me out, and they're like, "Good luck figuring your life out," because this is expensive. We don't want to. Yeah. The quote actually my dad said was, "You are no longer your education is no longer a good investment for us."
Oh.
But
thanks, Dad.
It was definitely a moment that forked me in a way that I wasn't stoked on, but it made me learn how I had to like figure shit out for myself, which I eventually did.
Yeah, and you realize he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have done it better. I still definitely think I think the lesson was good, the method was bad. And I think through life you understand that. I do think people are generally trying to do their best. But if someone can't get into the mindset of the person that they're trying to deliver the lesson to, the lesson won't hit as quickly. Like I think delivering lessons are valuable, but I do think that you need to be able to understand the mindset of the lessee, the lesson receiver, because it took me a long time to learn the lesson. So then I moved to Florida. I went to music school, got a degree in recording arts. The reality of that degree is if you want to work in the studio system, you have to be an intern and then have a second job, and then you still never make a lot of money. Like the studio system is not really required anymore. Anyone can make an album with a MacBook and some mics. If you want to be super high end, sure, but most artists don't need to go to a recording studio. So then I'm like, I should probably get a business degree so I can get a quote unquote real job. So then I go to get a business degree. It's actually this degree called entertainment business because it was like a piggyback.
Oh.
It was like an addition. You could leverage this recording arts degree into this next degree.
Sure.
So it kind of helped make it go faster.
So this is great for us.
Yeah. It's funny because I always forget that I did that. So I literally have a degree that's based on, it's like media management. It's all things business, but literally related to the entertainment industry.
Well, God bless America.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
I need to
have an expert right here.
It's funny because you forget, like, when's the last time you actually utilized your college degree? I guess, or even thought about it. But yeah, then in between that, I was probably 3/4 of the way done. I started watching this documentary called The Empire of Dreams, which is the quintessential Star Wars documentary. It's actually incredible. If you like Star Wars or just filmmaking in general, the best documentary I've ever seen. And I watched it like 1,000,000 times.
About the original Star Wars or the newer ones?
Yeah, it's about the first trilogy.
Okay.
Like in depth, long. It's like 2-3 hour long.
Actually, I think I've seen this.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and they show the little Ewok characters as humans, right?
Yeah. It's what's that guy's name? The little person. Can't think of it off the top of my head. It wasn't Vern Troyer. It's the other guy. Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis played the little baby Ewok. He's actually really funny in real life. Not because he's little, because he's just got a good sense of humor. And maybe that's because he's little and he's had to adapt.
Truly.
Yeah. Anyway, though, so then I freaking paused my fucking business degree and go to film school for a year. Realize you don't need to go to film school to become a movie maker.
What part of the movies did you want to make?
I wanted to be a director.
Director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is a lot of these systems that they're trying to teach are absolutely outdated. The reason why people went to film school back in the day was because a film camera cost $100,000.
Sure, you couldn't afford one.
And you couldn't get access to that. Now, there is some value in going to a good film school because then you can get networked in. It's like who you know.
Yeah.
There's still value there. But same thing with like getting an MBA. Yeah, you
probably a dime in the rough, though, that is really making or breaking it in those environments.
100%. Look at the best directors.
Yeah, it's like, who do you know?
Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, they're not film school guys.
Yeah.
They're just good directors.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with being a recording engineer. Like, you don't need to go to school for that. That job's not really that necessary anymore. So I think there's a lot of systems that are outdated that they still try to like, but it's kind of like you're a kid, you don't know what you want to do. Okay, yeah, put yourself in a learning environment where you can immerse yourself. But anyway, yeah, so then I was halfway through that and I was like, this actually sucks. Why did I do that fork? I did a lot of those forks. It's like really looping back to that wanting to be a house cat thing. I never wanted to just enter reality because if I could be a house cat forever, I could just chill and like lay in the sun and be a bum. So I think there was a little bit of that resistance from that kind of initial childhood desire until I finally like got, my shit together. And then I went out into the corporate world.
So this is all so interesting. All these things that you've gone to do, you probably didn't think you were ever going to do. And now here we are today and you're really incorporating all of them. There's a bit of directing. There's a bit of audio. There's a bit of filmmaking. You're doing it all right now. So it's so interesting that we've never talked about this in any capacity where we broke down what the degree was about. And then it's coming full circle for you.
It's really funny, actually. I think a lot of it is it felt like an unsuccessful journey. But I guess reframing it the way that you're reframing it, maybe it's just subconscious. I'm not even actually thinking about it, but that did lead to a level of competency because I definitely learned stuff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go to film school and become George Lucas or Steven Spielberg.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely learned stuff.
Yeah. I mean, my degree I have a master's and it was IT project management. And I didn't necessarily use the IT part, but I was using the PM skills all day in the corporate world.
So you actually were able to take transferable value from that.
Yeah.
I think master's programs have a better way of doing that.
And mine is very niche into something that was when I started taking that degree or studying for that degree. It was just getting on the market. PM. That was like an official title that was coming out. So I hit it in the right perfect time.
Did you get a PMP and do all that shit?
No, I just have the master's. I started to do the PMP, but I never finished it.
It's like if you have a
It's just like
master's
another
degree, you don't need to
certificate.
say that you had that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, and
I feel like the PMP is what people get because they can't go get a degree.
Yeah.
Because it has some weight.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I'll be honest.
Or
I
if you're
think a
trying to
lot
work
of
for
that
big companies, they're like,
they love that shit.
Old school guy
Black
with a big
belt.
hard on for that. Yeah.
It's hilarious how that works. Like, and this is a side note, but when I see people on LinkedIn, I haven't been on LinkedIn in forever, but that have 47 letters at the end of their
Credentials.
name, I'm like, damn, is that really what gives you that warm feeling inside that makes you feel like you're valuable? I'm like, that is just, if you're one of those people, and maybe you can explain to me why that
Well, if
gives
you're
you
in
value.
academia, you do have value. If you are talking to a scientist or a doctor or someone in academia and you've been in school for 8+ years, you're like, give me those credentials. I've been doing all this work. People need to know about it because you may not have actual things to show for it in the meantime. So if you only went to school, you haven't been working anywhere, all you have to show are your credentials.
I think
And I don't think this is the ego part. Like I don't agree with their egos, but this is where their stance is what I'm trying to say.
I think so. I'm glad you brought that up because I'll amend my statement. Doctors, scientists, people who need to show credibility for doing stuff like that. I think that's when the initials are actually valuable. But when I see people get a million certifications and they're like PMP, CNC,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, like, were you just collecting certifications
or
to
like
put
maybe you need to
fucking
collect a
letters at
job.
the end of your name? Like, just be awesome at your job. That's one of the facets of the corporate world I found super annoying and vapid. Be like, are you actually good at that though? I know I see the letters, but like, are you good at that?
Usually people that tell you they're really good at things aren't good at things.
It's the people that are good at things it's that quiet confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of the corporate world, what was your first corporate job?
My first corporate job, I was a marketing.
Actually, I would like to know your first job, and then I would like to know your first corporate job.
First job ever. Okay. I worked for like job even as like a kid.
First job. My first job, I was a lifeguard at the YWCA,
YWCA?
Young Women's.
All right. It was all chicks there?
No.
Oh.
This wasn't a young man's community. It was a young women's.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that existed. Good for you. That's awesome. Well, not good for you, like good for you because you're a woman. Like good for them.
Good for YWCA.
Yeah, good for YWCA. That's funny. Yeah, so my first job was I'm thinking like an actual job, not like I babysat a couple times. So my mom worked for one of the chambers of commerces, and they got me a job as their auxiliary bitch, essentially. I was going to say auxiliary guy, bitch sounded funnier, but I would stuff envelopes, carry boxes. It was like one of those types of jobs. So that was my summer job. I had to like get a special sign off. I was like 14 or something, 12, 13.
And then what was your first corporate job?
First corporate job, I worked for this startup company. I was a marketing coordinator, and I managed all the social media platforms, not Google. There was another guy who managed Google. And what's really funny is I used to be really competitive to the point where I'd want to like destroy the person that I was competing with. And so me and this guy, I don't want to say his name. He probably doesn't even know this because he was a nice dude, but I don't think he was very aware of, or maybe he just didn't assume that I was such a diabolical person. But I would like sabotage him like constantly, like because I wanted to like take his job. Like he was like in my way. Yeah, it's like a specific competition style where I don't compete. Like I like eliminate my competition. Like that's how my brain works.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not like I need to run from the robber. I'm like I need to eliminate the robber. So
we're on the same team.
Yeah. Yo, you and I are 100%. And him and I were on the same fucking team, dude. Right?
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
Oh no.
No, but that's like I'm so much more collaborative now. But when I was younger, it was very like I want to do all the work. I want to get all the recognition. But anyway, so I was a marketing.
Greedy.
Oh yeah, I was like I want like it's all about me. So when I was so I was a marketing coordinator and I managed like social media. So I got fired from that job.
Oh, why'd you get fired?
I
You were bullying the competition?
Yeah, right. No, they caught me like pantsing that kid. So we used to have like a real shitty attitude when I didn't like stuff. And it took me a while to understand how just because something's stupid doesn't mean that you need to try to be elitist or make people feel stupid about it. And I was very slow to understand the politics of workplace interaction, just human interaction, I think, in general. And so as I learned that skill, I got much more efficient at existing amongst others. And even when I need to give feedback, I could be very like generous, compliment sandwichy. But that's skills that came much later. So yeah, I was just not very well versed in corporate politics.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Well, how would you be? No one trains you on corporate politics.
They really should.
Yeah, they should. But, I think it's part of the game. You can't give everyone a one-up on the game.
Okay.
So if I never have to do another corporate politicking conversation in my life, so God help me.
I wonder, can we build this thing as big as it's going to be with a group of people that don't require the use of that bullshit?
Yes, because I think we discern across the type of people that we want to include, and you create a culture that doesn't foster that. It doesn't reward that behavior. It actually dismantles it.
I love that. So Tom Bilyeu, he's one of the co-founders of Quest Nutrition. He's got that show Impact Theory. In their orientation papers or whatever employee sign on the line, your employee papers, it literally says this is not a safe space.
Oh my gosh, so just be prepared.
They just want to foster this environment where people will call you out if you're underperforming.
And so like you can't be mean to people, but you can be honest with them.
Yeah.
It's exactly the kind of environment I would want. Not mean.
Yeah. Like feedback is so fucking valuable.
Yes.
In real time, even if it's something small.
Yes. And as long as it's coming from a good place, right? If the feedback can't be, I feel this way when you do blah, 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 where you're putting your feelings onto someone else. It has to be true feedback. Like this is a genuine thing where this isn't working for the environment. You're not showing up at your best. And this is why it has to be like true feedback, not just an opinion piece,
100%. How do we get better? And I think the one thing that really made me so disillusioned in the corporate world was watching people play defense, which I understood because by the time you get to a high level in corporate America, you have 2, 3 plus kids, you got a wife, you got a mortgage, you got 2 cars. So everything that I saw was from a place of fear, which just, I don't operate like that. Maybe I should more frequently because I get real fast and loose, which has got me in a lot of hot water in terms of my ability to like be in my boss's good graces or the board's good graces. But I never liked operating like that. And I just really, the last job I ever had, my boss was really nice, but he was the biggest pussy in the world. But I understood why. He was in his 50s. He had 4 kids. He could not lose his job. There was
oh yeah.
Even if there was a problem that was obvious, even if there was something that needed to be fixed and that he could make the company better if he talked to his boss, it's way more important for the person in that position to maintain their ability to provide. And I completely understand that, but it also made me really, I don't want to use the word disgusted, but kind of disgusted by that being the reality of the majority of people that exist in companies that don't have, if you're not someone who's in control of how you get your money, ultimately, that ultimately becomes your mindset. And that started to make me like really grossed out by corporate America.
Yeah. I also don't like how people are allowed to treat other people, and it's okay depending on what level you're at.
Yeah, just you can get away with it.
Yeah, we don't have time for that conversation.
Right.
Today. Oh, I remember my next question. I have to look. So I wanted to know now, when did the idea of spirituality at its infancy in your life, when did that start to creep in? Around what age? Interest maybe, or something you'd heard about it, or just inclination? Yeah,
the inflection point for me, and it's so cheesy, is when I saw the documentary The Secret.
Okay.
So however old I was then, but it was later in terms of my journey. I wasn't a kid. I was probably in my 20s. I had no idea that you could even control your thoughts. That was a concept that was so foreign to me.
So interesting.
Yeah. So I think most people, oh my God, there are those threads right there.
Oh yeah.
You literally have the bracelet threads right there. Perfect. We're going to fire that Etsy store up. Yeah. So no, I was like one of those people who would have like crazy racing thoughts and just be like, I guess that's just how my brain is. It didn't even occur to me that there would be a difference. So when I found out about The Secret and just kind of started scratching the surface of the law of attraction is when I really started to go down that path. And I was kind of in a weird inflection point. That was right around the time my parents yoinked me out of college. And so it was also, I think I was like reaching for stuff. You kind of get to that point where you're going, this isn't working. There's got to be something else.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice thing to sink my teeth into at the time. And so that was the beginning of that. Short answer. Just The Secret.
The Secret.
Yeah.
It's a little basic, but we'll take it.
It's super surface level. And I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I'm glad that I found it. I just hope people, when they do discover that, can go a little deeper. You don't need to go quantum physics deep, but the concepts are good. There's just more to it.
Yeah. It's showing you the tip of the iceberg. And it is monumental once you do get into it. The problem is, at the time, it was this concept that no one had talked about or seen. So it was revolutionary when it was released. And we look at that now and we say, you didn't even give them anything to go off of. But I do remember that. And I remember already kind of knowing about it when I'd heard about it and watching it and hearing from other people in the esoteric world say like, oh, don't even listen to that. It's going to steer you the wrong way, because I was already too far along. So
it made something fringe mass market.
Yes.
But in doing that, you do have to water it down, unfortunately.
Yes. But it did the job of getting people aware. And that was really the most important part. You get someone curious and then they can go research and figure it out if it seems right. And it sounds like for you, at least it piqued your interest to where it did grab your attention.
It was the coolest thing was my ability to then, I literally was the type of person who would be falling asleep and my brain would go, hey, remember that thing you said 10 years ago? Let's cut like 5 hours of your sleep out and just kind of run that through your brain over and fucking over. And I would do that all the time. That was just like normal until I knocked out. And then the concept of you are in control of your thoughts, I was like, oh, I don't do that at all anymore. There might be a night here or there where you have like a bad day and you kind of play it over and you're not stoked on it. But now I can snap out of that stuff where that was my day to day. And that quality of life change was monstrous for me.
Wow. So now that you've left the corporate world and you've been out of it for a moment, you kind of zoom out. What do you think people could start to implement in their corporate lives? So we're talking about the 9 to 5 when you're on for work, this other half of your world. Because it's always interesting. Like your friends don't really know what you do. You have this whole world that you escape to for 9 hours a day. And most people in your life don't know what's going on over there. You're in this black hole. It really is like Severance, like that TV show. Anyway, so what advice would you give people that are in the corporate world right now and they are a little bit spiritual and they want to level up and find a way to get more successful, to start running meetings, to start being seen by the boss, to get the new project, to get the promotion? How can they start to have this like, I hate using the word woo-woo because I feel like it really diminishes what it is. So I'm just going to, at its base, like this idea of spirituality. How can we show up spiritually in the corporate world without, people poo-pooing us or giving too much judgment and using it to our advantages?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And if you want to incorporate being able to connect spiritually to what you're doing, you need to do something that you actually care about, that you're passionate about. So if you don't want to leave your job or you like having a corporate job or your job, that's awesome. Like I think most people, and there's nothing wrong with me saying most people, I actually think people who become entrepreneurs are deeply flawed. And so that's the only way that they can actually be successful. I think normal people are better off being able to plug into this infrastructure that already exists. And so if you want to be spiritual and exist in the corporate world, you have to work at a company or do a job that makes you feel connected to that. So I'll give you an example. I worked in sales for a long time. I was like top producer, made a lot of money, but I dabbled in had a little team I managed. I had 2 assistant sales guys that I managed, and I really liked it. I got a lot of value from coaching them. Then I got offered a promotion, which would have been a pay cut. And through a pros and cons list I did over the weekend with the girl I was dating at the time, I realized that although I'd be exchanging money, I'd be gaining this intrinsic value. So intrinsic value is almost like spiritual currency. And that's when I pivoted it into management and my career became more fulfilling. And alternatively, when I was a producer, I used to sell advertising. I worked at this company that did pay to play advertising. And once I started to understand the vapid nature of the product, it became really hard for me to sell it. And so if you're a deeply spiritual person, you have to be able to connect to the work or the mission or the company in a way. And then it makes it really easy. So there's givers and there's takers. And I think there's more takers than givers. And I think takers aren't necessarily spiritual, so they can thrive in more types of environments. If you're a giver or an empath, you really need more of a connection. So I guess short answer is either find something in the company that you currently work at that you can connect to this greater intrinsic spiritual currency, or find a company that serves that better.
That's great. And then did you ever do anything with mindset when you're in the corporate world?
Oh yeah. I think mindset is the vast majority of it. Well, I interrupted your question. Were you going to?
No, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Speak to that.
Yeah. So especially when coaching salespeople, mindset is literally, I think 90% of everything. Confidence is such an important facet of being successful in the corporate world. It's successful in general. So depending on where the person was coming from, mindset, I'd say mindset coaching. Like I reached an inflection point in my job where I remember I considered getting medicated, like hyper medicated, so I didn't feel so stressed out. And I'm like, why don't I try meditating, which is probably the ultimate mindset activity. So I would, it's one of the things too, where I don't know why people are so reluctant to meditate, but I would get a very low conversion rate of mentioning that how that was very successful for me to people. Maybe 10% of people would actually meditate and get a lot of value from it. But then it's really like meeting people where they're at. You know, I told that story about how my parents taught me that lesson that didn't really deliver properly. I think that made me very cognizant of the fact that I needed to deliver the lessons or messages in a way that could work for people. So it's not, you have to meditate. That's what works. Okay, this person's definitely not going to meditate. What works for them? How can I help them with their mindset and meet them where they're at? So yeah, I think, I don't know if I answered your question, but mindset is in anything, especially if you want to coach people to be successful. The actual skill difference between a top producer and a low producer is 90%, maybe even 99% mindset.
Are there any tips and tricks other than the meditating that you would give to your sales teams?
My biggest thing was for people to just stop making shit so complicated. Like, let's look at, I'm a data dork. And so, okay, how has your performance been? This is when you're coaching people that their job is to perform specific activities to get money or sales or whatever. It's super easy to track. So, okay, let's talk salespeople. You've got 3 main activities. You can text someone, you can call someone, you can email someone. So a lot of times people are just perplexed, like nothing's working. And then you go, okay, well, let's look at the data. So it looks like when you text people, you have a higher response rate. Did you know that? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, it looks like when you call people, you have a very low conversion rate. And that also takes more time. Did you know that? I mean, I kind of, but I wasn't aware of it, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, well, what if you just stop calling people and just only text people? Like, oh, I can do that? Like, yeah, why would you not just only do the one thing that works the best? So a lot of it, like data management and KPI management, you can take someone who's really bad at something, who puts in a lot of effort, and not change their mindset at all. Like, you don't even need to change their mindset, and give them specific activities that are showing they convert better, and have them just triple that volume and cut the other 2 things out. And then the mindset will come, because the confidence will come, because they'll start seeing validation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Data nerd.
I love, yeah, it makes managing and performing so simple, because then you literally go, this literally is what works. Do this. You
did talk to me about data yesterday and today, so I see it.
Yeah, it's so helpful. It's so helpful.
So now, if we correlate all of this to an entrepreneur with spirituality, I think an entrepreneur, I would believe entrepreneurs have a lot more freedom in how they operate in every capacity. For example, I don't have a uniform. I can wear whatever I want every day. What a blessing. How do you think they should incorporate spirituality?
I think
maybe if they're interested, how would they dabble and get started?
Yeah, and I guess I might be under the flawed assumption that most entrepreneurs are probably more spiritual. That might be my preconceived notion. Maybe that's just like a social media thing.
I do feel like the ones that I know, yes, I would agree. There is some higher power belief system.
Higher calling, yeah. And that doesn't mean it's a good calling. It just means I think a lot of entrepreneurs exist in this world that as it exists today, very unhappy. And they're constantly going, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else, which leads you to this thing, entrepreneurship. And it's not all being able to exist happily in the system is way fucking easier. Like Monday through Friday, I work my ass off and then I don't have to think about anything. Maybe you do emails on Sunday, but yeah, it's funny. I think back, I'm like, that really was not hard, but I had no perception of what was on the other side. Yeah. Right. The grass is definitely different. I'm not gonna say it's not greener, but it's just different.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you go to Florida and you touch their grass, it's very different than Chicago grass.
Yeah. And their grass is gross, but it is very warm and sunny there.
Yeah. It's great. It's ours is greener, but maybe theirs is greener.
Yeah. I actually lived in Florida and they have to use crabgrass.
Yeah.
It's some special grass.
Feet.
It's a weed. It's the only grass that'll actually grow.
Oh, it happens to be a ground cover?
Yeah, so it's a specific type of grass. I don't know if it's Bermuda.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting thing. I love plants. Sorry for the tangent.
I go in the weeds on stuff like that.
Literally.
Like, why is their grass so hard?
Literally went in the weeds.
Oh, yeah. But
so back to entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so I think if entrepreneurs, I assume that a lot of entrepreneurs are probably tapped in a little. I know a lot of entrepreneurs are into meditating. I think having the freedom to, and actually what's interesting about that question is I just verbally emoting this is when you have the loose structure of entrepreneurship, it's easy to forget to take care of your spiritual needs. And so I meditated a lot more when I worked in corporate America because I had a very easy structure to deal with. Now I think and I think a lot of entrepreneurs suffer with this, there's this guilt around not working. And so even if you only meditated 10 minutes, that feels like a waste of time sometimes, or it's like, I'll get to it when I have time, and then you don't have time. You don't make the time. So I think if I was to give one short answer, it would be prioritize that part of your life. Prioritize that spirituality. Like, make sure you feed that.
Yeah, because when you do feed that, everything else grows from there. We forget how the stillness helps us take action, and how the stillness will solve problems, and how the stillness provides ideas and insights. It's just, we are not told that we should ever have stillness. We have things barking at us all day.
There's so much shit to get done. But if you do that even 10 minutes, you're going to feel so much better while you're doing all that shit.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that's a perfect way to end today. I really just wanted to know about parts of your life that I didn't know about yet, which was why I asked the questions I did. And I'm sure there'll be more questions from the fans and the subscribers, and we'll have a part 2 where we can get in the weeds of some of this. So thanks for allowing us to get to know you better today.
Thank you. Yeah, this is super fun.
I love it. All right, everybody, don't forget to like us and subscribe to us, and then tell your friends about us, and then go find us and follow us and say something nice about us, because we love it and we love you. Bye.
Bye.